station where we'll continue our conversation on the topic financial education. For those of you who are coming across me for the very first time, this is the third week now which we've engaged in this important topic of us. So for those of you who have actually missed out on the opening subject, you can as well go back to the first week and the second week to update yourself, so that way you can have a full understanding or idea of what it is that we've been talking about. For all said and done, thank you, and I hope that you'll get to enjoy your time here and that you're able to understand the purpose why we're having this conversation. There's a passion which each and every one of us nurse on the inside, and I don't know what it is that's of importance to you, but for me personally, one thing that's of importance to me is for me making myself available to people, being of service, helping them get to the next level. The fact is that for you to achieve whatever it is that you want, you must help people first. And that is a law. That is a principle of wealth creation. And it means that you have to dedicate yourself, commit yourself to that which you're extremely passionate about. So that way you can afford to be your best in what it is that you're doing. So, without further ado, without wasting much time, we'll be going into the topic of today. So today, we're going to be talking about business. Yes, I know this is the part which everybody has been waiting for, which is where people ask that question. How do I own a business? How do I run my business? What can I do in my business? I don't know where to start. I don't have a product to sell. Yes, these are the kind of questions that come up at all times. But have no fear. Because the most important thing in business is, what are you happy to spend your time doing? Because once you're happy spending your time doing something, you unleash the creativity on the inside of you, because it flows. As you progress, a time comes when you now take the time to see how you can perfect the delivery of the service which you offer to people, be it a service or be it a product. There are only two kinds of things which you can do in business, which is to offer a business, which is to offer a service or a product. So either way, something has to be done. Okay? So, let's take a look at this first of all. So that way we understand the mindsets of a business owner, why a business is important. I came across a story from someone whom I adore, who was actually one of the people that motivated my passion for wanting to become an entrepreneur myself. And that was actually the author of the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. And one of the first books which I actually read there was the book Retire Young, Retire Rich. That's a classic book, a classic. Trust me, if you haven't actually read it, I would advise that you actually go into Amazon or into any bookstore and just retire that and just request for a copy of that book. Retire Young and Retire Rich. And for those of you who are still under your 40s like I am, it's a step in the direction for you. Even if you're above 40, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's your ability for you to stand up and do whatever it is that you want to do for yourself. That's all that matters. So age really has nothing to get to do with it here. The only thing which age plays a role is time waits for no man. So if you're there thinking, should I do, should I not do, should I do, should I not do, then that's where I can say that yes, that time is of the essence. Okay? But if you made that resolution that, you know what, I wish to do something myself, then age really doesn't matter. Okay? So, the story I'm going to be sharing with you right now is a story which I actually heard from Robert Kiyosaki himself. And that story, you really touched me. It made a profound influence on me. Yes. And it's a story about a village. Okay? A village that had a problem with water. There was drought in this village. And as you all know, when there's a problem, means that there has to be a solution for it. And this village actually endured this problem for a while, to the extent that they now had to make a decision on how they could get water to farm, to water their farmlands, because the things they had actually planted were all actually withering away because there was no water to nourish this products, or rather these crops that had actually been planted. So the elders of the village and the village community came together and they said, you know what, we need to contract the supply of water to the village to 2 people, and we would like volunteers, people who would like to stand as a support, who can come up with some innovative ideas on how we can bring a stop to this problem. And 2 individuals, stepped up to the plate. So let's refer to these individuals as individual A and individual B. Okay? Now, individual A, after the contract was awarded to these 2 people, individual A, on the next day, he embarked on a journey which no one saw him again for a couple of months. Individual B, on the other hand, the next day started hurling buckets of water. What actually happened was that there was a stream which was miles away from the village. Okay? Now, what he did was, the next day, he went down to the stream and started hauling buckets of water from the stream to the village. And trust me, the distance from this stream to the village was quite endurable. It was quite a trek. Alright? Well, as it stands, just as most of us do in our lives today, we end up doing things which really we're not really happy, or maybe the way we're actually doing things, not actually the best way. But at the end of the day, individual B was quite excited that at least he was doing something for himself. He was hurling buckets. Every day. He got to the extent that he felt his business was big enough. Now he had to employ the services of his family members, his wife and his kids. He enrolled, even his cousins and his family members. He enrolled them into this venture of his, where each and every day, each and every one of them were hurling buckets. Quite strenuous, carrying buckets of water from the stream to the village, supplying people with this resource that was requested. They kept doing this for 6 months. And guess what? Up until that time, nobody actually saw the individual A who embarked on a journey the next day after the contract was awarded to him. Time passed. People said all sorts of things about him. They never heard from him. To an extent that they almost gave up. They said, you know what, this individual is not serious. Let's just forget about him. Have people actually given up on you? Have people said things behind you that you know what, that you're not good for anything? If they have, remain steadfast. As long as you know what it is that you're doing for yourself. That's the most important thing. Because as we progress towards the end of the story, which is the reason why I said, as long as you're true to your course, remain steadfast. Because people will always say things. People will always bring you down. People never believe in your gifts. People never want to talk about you. The only thing which they're interested in talking about is just themselves. Whatever your gifts are, keep working in them. Keep developing it. Look for avenues which you can build yourself up to enable that passion of yours take you to the next level. This was what this individual did. Because what happened was individual A actually did embark on a journey to the city. Because when he went to the city, what he actually did was he was looking out for investors. He had a plan. He had a plan. And his plan was to come up with a system where they could connect pipelines from the stream to the village. But the fact is that this idea of his was quite capital intensive, that alone wasn't something that he could actually achieve on his own, which was the reason for the journey he embarked on the next day. Because the next day he went into the city to look for people who could actually invest with him in this venture of his. As it is usually, he knocked on doors, but he was turned down. He pitched his ideas to people, but they all landed on deaf ears. But he never gave up. He kept knocking on doors. 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 Until he was fortunate enough to have come across an individual who had that belief in him. That, you know what? If actually what you say is true, that means there's an opportunity there. Yes. And we would come with you. And you know what? This was like after 8 months. He's been embarking on this. He embarked on this journey. After 8 months, he finally got a yes. This story is similar to the likes of the richest author we have in the world today, J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter series, who was turned down numerous times by different publishers. Yes! Such as Disney, who looked around for investors to come and invest in the Disney world with him. Yes, as we all know, the billionaires we see today, there was a time when they had no funds, when they were looking out for people to come and invest in their venture with them. But you know, the beauty about these people is that they share the same traits. And what is it? That they never gave up. Because they always believed that someday someone will tune into my vision. Someday someone will believe in me and invest in what it is that I have to offer. This was practically the thing that happened to this individual. And guess what? Upon conclusion of what their business arrangement would be like, this particular company sent on this, they commenced the journey. They embarked on this journey with this particular individual back to the village. And guess what? When they were on their way back, they didn't just go alone. Not just the partner who was interested in having a look at this venture or becoming part of this venture. When they were coming back, they came back with trucks, with pipes, with machineries for them to commence this work. And when they arrived at the villagers were all gobsmacked. They were surprised that, wow, what is about to happen in our village? What is it that is about to happen here? To their surprise, when construction commenced, it was a space of a month upon completion of their pipe work that they connected the pipe from the stream to the village. Behold, that is precisely what we see. The picture we see here clearly illustrates what it is that we're trying to talk about here. The idea, the innovation, outweighed the efforts of the other individual who was busy hurling buckets every day, who really, really worked hard. Just a simple idea put him out of business, because at this particular point in time, no one was willing to take advantage of the service he was offering. Why? Because now his service was more expensive. Because the machinery which had actually been introduced to the village had actually made the price of water cheaper. Yes, because now it was pipes that were actually hurling water into the village, but not the individual hurling buckets like the individual did. Meant that the first cooperation, which is individual A and his business allies, were able to create something that made it affordable for the people, and not just affordable for the people, but made it easily accessible for the villagers. There was no restriction, because now there was water connection to almost every part of the village, which made the other man become redundant. May that not be the case. You see, that's one of the beauties of owning a business. Why do I say that? Because a business is like a pipeline. Yes, it's similar to that. A pipeline where you connect it from the stream to your village. It's your pipeline that brings in money for you. It's your pipeline that brings in your income for you. And the beauty about it is that you're not restricted to just one pipeline. You're entitled to as much as you want, as much as possible. Which is why in our previous messages we talked about the people such as Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, George Soros. These are individuals who have got investments in not one company, not two companies, but in numerous organizations that they run and control. The likes of Virgin have investments in over 50 companies. If I'm not underestimating, if I'm not, understating the facts here. Same as the sage of Omaha, Warren Buffett, who buys businesses. So you see, these companies that are being invested could be looked at as the pipeline, because their job is to go out there and offer a service, and in return they usher in money. The question is, what pipeline are you building today? Are you hurling buckets, or you're busy building a pipeline? A pipeline will give you an early retirement. A pipeline will make life less stressful for you. A pipeline will enable you to give other people opportunities. A pipeline will give you a life of freedom, the life which you deserve. Dear viewers, I'd like you all to take the time. Like I always said, if you have a good paying job that you think you're happy with, no problem. But don't just settle there. Take out the time to learn how you can invest the capital you're actually making from your job today, so that it can last 2 generations to come. Because money is an obedient servant, and you need to learn how to take control of it, how to manage it, how to invest it. So even if you're not the one who's responsible for the investment of your finances, at least you're knowledgeable enough to understand what the professionals are actually telling you about. So that way you're involved in the conversations. Yes, you might give them the full discretion for them to manage your funds, but you're not lost in the big picture, because whatever is being said back to you is understood by yourself. Other than a situation where you have no clue practically of what is being talked about, what is being discussed concerning your money. Then if you're like myself, people who are self-starters, who actually want to get to do things themselves, who want to take control, then building that pipeline should be something of importance. And one of the things about it is setting up your own business, being a business. I run a property business, and one of the things which we do is we manage properties on behalf of clients. That is a pipeline which at the end of the day earns me a passive income. So, are you busy building up your own pipeline today? Something that even when you're not out there, it's working for you. If not, I'd like you to reconsider whatever it is that you're doing today. If you're happy, fine. This is for people who are not satisfied with the status quo, who are looking to bring out the very best in them, who feel they have a lot on the inside of them to get to offer to people. You start today. You start to do something about it. And how do we go about it? One of the ways which we go about it is first of all by educating ourselves, picking up business books. What is it that you're passionate about? Yes, whatever it is that you think you want to do, some other person is doing it out there already. So all you have to do is just look at how they're doing it. How are they doing it? Look at those that are successful in it. Look at it, look at what makes them successful. How do they go about things? Is it the lifestyle? Is it the business that they operate? These are the questions which you can get to ask. And the first road to discovery, first of all, is by asking questions and by educating yourself. Because once you start to ask questions, guess what? You start to seek answers. And once you start to seek answers, means that there is a solution. So, for business owners, there's something that sets them apart from the ordinary, and that is the mindset that they operate with. Now, what do I mean by the mindset which they operate with? In the sense that, one, they have a 90-10 mentality. And what is this 90-10 rule? It's something similar to the 80-20 rule we're talking about, where 90% of the population work for 10% of the wealth, while 10% of the population work for 90% of the wealth. You see, that's how they think. They believe they are the 10% of people that work for 90% of the wealth. There's so much. That's why there's always room at the top. The rich will always tell you, listen, it's boring out there. Why do they keep telling you that it's boring out there? Because there's just a limited number of people up there who have actually achieved it. It means that there's room for you and I. Secondly, they know there's enough to go around for each and every one of them. There's enough to go around for each and every one of us. Life is full of abundance. It is everywhere around you. Wealth is everywhere around us at every particular point in time. All we have to do is just look around for what belongs to us and just take a hold of it. Yes, channel your pipe. Look for your pipe. Just put it out there and just attract what belongs to you towards you. There's enough. So much. And the third point is they think ideas. Yes, because ideas rule the world. Of course. We have seen it. One of the reasons why Bill Gates remained the richest man in the world today for the past 8 years until the emergence of Jeff Bezos was because of his idea, which is Microsoft. Steve Jobs today, the pioneer of the Android phone, had an idea, and that idea was for us to use our fingers to control our phone, which is why we have the smartphone today, which is why we have the Apple today. Jeff Bezos who is the richest man in the world today, had an idea, and that idea was Amazon. A marketplace that the whole world could buy products from. We have Trump, whom we know, whose passion is for buildings, and the likes of them. There's so many of them out there that this program is not even enough to provide us with that time to have a look at what they're doing. What is your idea? What is that thing that's on the inside of you that you keeping back? That you keeping back? That you're afraid to bring out. The world is in need of your idea. The world needs it badly. They said the graveyard is the richest place in the world today because we have thousands of ideas that are buried in the graveyard today. Don't let yours be a waste. And also, a business owner looks out for opportunities. Opportunities where they could be of service. Is there something that is lacking around you? Is there something people want around you that you feel you can be the only one to provide for them? That's an opportunity. Is there a niche that you think you can be part of? All around those are opportunities. And how do we spot opportunities? By being open, by looking out for them. Because the fact about it is that once you're prepared in your given field, you will always spot the opportunities when they come by, because you've trained your eyes to actually look out for them. And lastly, they're always of service. The rich are always of service. They're looking for places where they can offer their service. You know why? Because they will always be paid in return. And it is that payment that amounts to wealth. Mark Zuckerberg, at 34, the 5th richest man in the world today. Why? Facebook. Yes, in a nutshell, Facebook. We remember when Facebook started and how far Facebook has come. They think ideas. Ideas rule the world. What is your idea? And we live in a time now where technology now makes it easier for us. Makes it easier for us to be of service to people. 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't easy for me to be able to communicate this freely with you. But now technology has made it possible for me to have not only access to you, but have a form of relationship with you. And that is what I'm actually looking for in this platform here, where I can be of service to you. So for those who are actually looking out for a way to better improve themselves, I hope that the time you take to listen to this is of benefit to you, because this is me playing my own part here in life. So, why own a business? Because of the unlimited potential to benefit. If you are able to provide the right service to suit your customers. So, as long as you're doing the right thing, you will always benefit, because your customers will take good care of you. The possibility of building more than one business exists because you are at liberty to build multiple streams of income. Yes. An entrepreneur doesn't rely just on one business. There are streams of income. There are streams of businesses which an entrepreneur owns in his own personal portfolio. So, it means that your income capability is not restricted, neither is it capped, just like you're working in the workplace. Okay? So, thirdly, your capital grows as you gain growth and expand the limits of its